Well, it's time to meet our panel for tonight. We have Esther Zalan. She is a reporter with the EU Observer covering populism and Brexit. It's good to see you, Esther. What story are you watching tonight here at the Parliament?
Hungary and Orban's defense. I'm from Hungary, so especially interesting to me, and this was a crucial day in that debate.
Indeed it is. And we also have joining us tonight Tomasz Zdechovský, a Czech MEP who is a member of the European People's Party. What story are you watching?
I'm watching the Hungarian case and the Orban defense, of course, because it's very important for my party, but for the Middle Europe and Visegrad Group also it's topic number one.
Indeed, it is also our topic number one here on Raw Politics. So Viktor Orban is facing his critics head-on here in Strasbourg today. MEPs will decide this week whether or not to formally tell the Hungarian leader to clean up his act over the way he's been running the country. Well, some members of the EU Parliament have been highly critical of Orban's right-wing government, his perceived attacks on the press, the judiciary, migrants, and the rights of minorities. Now, a report from the Committee on Civil Liberties suggests that he presents a systemic threat to EU's fundamental principles.
The Hungarian government has effectively silenced independent media. By putting academia on a leash, future generations will not learn to appreciate critical thinking. It has replaced independent judges with those with a closer tie to the regime. It makes life miserable for NGOs that provide services to citizens in need, such as homeless people, migrants and refugees, and marginalised groups like Roma.
Every nation, every member state has the right to organise its life in its own country. We will protect our borders, and we will decide who to live together with. We have built a fence. We have stopped illegal migrants, hundreds of thousands of them. We have defended Hungary, and we have defended Europe.
So we heard there from the report author, Dutch Green MEP Judith Sargentini, and of course Viktor Orban. I'll start with you, Esther. You are from Hungary. This is a big story. It's a big deal. Tell us what you thought about, that impassioned exchange there.
I think it's very interesting how the allies of Mr. Orban, the members of EPP, have reacted. I think there were more critical voices than before, and I think that could be crucial for the vote tomorrow. And just to say, this could be the beginning of a process. So this is not to punish Hungary. This is asking the member states, other member states in the EU, to examine whether what is in the report is correct and whether there is a threat to democracy in Hungary.
Yeah, and what about you, Mr. Zdechovský? What do you think about, you said that this is what happens in Hungary is also important for you and your party, you were saying.
Yes, General, we have a very open dialogue with Viktor Orban for 4 years, and I many times discuss with him the concrete things, and sometimes he change his opinion about these things, especially about things about the minorities or things about the migrants, but really he is open to make dialogue, and for me today's story is very sad story.
If he is open to dialogue, did you ever tell him, you know what, you crossed the line this time?
Yes, it was many times mentioned on EPP group, and I think that nobody mentioned on discussion that it's sometimes better to have Viktor Orban in EPP group like Viktor Orban out of the group, because in the group are many of people who really understand the situation. And many times if I hear the criticism on Libe committee or in other hearings, I know that many times we are using not facts but emotions.
You mean it's, yeah, go ahead.
I think what's interesting is that Mr. Orban did engage in a dialogue with the Commission and the Parliament, but what he has done is on the substantial or the substantive issues, he has taken what critics say is a cosmetic changes only. So legalistic changes that doesn't really change the facts on the ground in Hungary, and the fact that there has been a curb in the checks and balances to the system in Hungary.
All right, so today we had this debate, and tomorrow the parliamentarians are going to have a vote. Now, what is this vote? It is on something called the Article 7. So what is this? Let's take a look.
It is with a heavy heart that we have decided to initiate Article 7.1. But the facts leave us no choice.
December 2017, and history is made. For the first time ever, Article 7 is used against Poland, the so-called nuclear option. So what is it? Essentially, it's a two-step punishment clause. The EU can't kick out a naughty member state, but it can warn and discipline them, and eventually remove their voting rights if there is a clear risk of a serious breach of the bloc's core principles. The catch? It requires two-thirds support, an absolute majority, at least 376 votes.
I know this is getting a bit technical, but it was said that it's Article 7.1, which means a warning. It's not that the rights will be taken away already, right? So what do you think? Tomorrow, you think the vote will go Viktor Orban's way or not?
That's the million-dollar question. The vote will be very narrow, but from my discussion with MEPs from the EPP, which is Orban's party, there seems to be a growing discontent with him. So it will be a very, very narrow vote. Every vote will count.
And so you're an MEP. Would you tell us which way you're voting for tomorrow?
I think I cannot predict from the before we will vote in this issue how everybody will voting, because many times it's about the atmosphere, and sometimes the atmosphere can change.
So you can still be swayed basically tomorrow.
Yes, I know many colleagues that are not sure how they want to vote it, if plus or minus for this report. Also, it will be for me very big surprise.
Well, heading up this report is the author, Dutch Green MEP Judith Sargentini, and we have our political editor Darren McCaffrey, who is with her at the moment. Darren, over to you.
Yeah, indeed, a pretty robust and lively debate in the European Parliament, a couple of hours ago. It's only just wrapped up that session. As you say, it all came about because of Judith Sargentini, who is a Dutch MEP who launched that 37-page report, I think, into the situation in Hungary. What first motivated you, or why this report?
Well, since 2010, the Parliament has been urging Council and Commission to act when Orban was elected and he got a two-third majority and he changed the constitution overnight. And then newspapers started to close down and judges were replaced. All in all, he's been taking away vital parts of democracy since 2010. And then only in 2017, finally, the Parliament had the courage to start this process after Council and Commission did nothing.
It isn't so. Obviously, as I said, we've got this report now. MEPs are having to think about it. We've got this vote tomorrow. Viktor Orban's main point was, though, why exclude him from the process? Isn't that part of what the European Union's getting wrong? Trying to shut down voices rather than trying to get them to compromise?
But he's so included in the process. First of all, there's all sorts of communication between the Commission and the government of Hungary, infringements, letters, whatever, and also the part of the Parliament. He's been here, I think this is the third or the fourth time he speaks in Parliament about the situation in his country. His Minister of Foreign Affairs has been in public here speaking, by the way, in public calling me a liar 10 times. I met with the ambassador a couple of times. I've been to Budapest. They're so part of the process. But this is not targeted. This is not a negotiation with Hungary or the government of Hungary anymore. This is towards the Council, to the other 27 member states that need to take responsibility.
And what do you think about this point that other MEPs made, that simply he was addressing his domestic audience today? You're only likely to increase his support back in Hungary.
Whatever we do, it's always useful Viktor Orban in his home market. And the tool that we've got in front of us to show that we care about every European citizen, Hungarian, Dutch, German, French, it doesn't matter, and that we're there to protect their fundamental rights is what I'm doing. And if I shy away and I think this is only useful for the home market, then I leave behind a lot of Hungarians that are worried about their country and that are not happy with Viktor Orban, his friends and family filling their pockets with taxpayers' money without providing the service they have to provide.
And just very, very quickly, do you think you're going to win tomorrow?
It's going to be a very close call, and it depends on the European People's Party, the party that Viktor Orban's Fidesz party is a member of. There is a serious majority, but it needs to be a two-third majority. We'll see.
Great. Judith, thank you very much indeed. As I say, that vote is coming tomorrow, Tessa. I mean, it will be a pretty resounding decision if 2/3 of MEPs do decide to start this process of enacting Article 7. We'll probably never got to the conclusion where it's actually in place, but would still send a pretty strong signal to Hungary. But no sign today that Viktor Orban is deciding to back down.
All right, thank you for that, Darren. And Dutch MEP Judith Sargentini, you were reacting, you were smiling at some point when she was talking. Tell us what you think.
Yes, because my colleague Sargentini was speaking about Viktor Orban, that he's playing here a game for his Hungarian public
audience,
and I think that she's playing the same game before the election, and this is what I am many times criticized. Why we didn't started this procedure before? Why we didn't open it much more for other people?
But what about on the point of what Viktor Orban has been doing in Hungary? I mean, to that point.
Just to say that Ms. Sargentini announced a couple of days ago that she will not run again in the parliament elections next May. So this is not to boost her campaign. And the other point is it's not difficult to play to your own audience when you dominate the media scene completely and the political discourse. The point.
No, right. I was just talking about the point of the media in Hungary. You said you were working for a newspaper before as well, so there's truth to some of the accusations then.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The newspaper I used to work for has been shut down by a government-friendly organization company.
Yeah. All right, so we'll leave it at that for now. You have to change gears because there's another story that has people talking